recently a CNN appearance got a little heated for understandable reasons. This is going to be between Harry Hook and Mark Lamont Hill. Hook is going to say some outrageous things. Mark Lamont Hill is going to call him out on it. It's going to get a little loud, and afterwards I am going to give you the actual facts and figures to show you who's right and who's wrong. Let's watch.
And this thing about the disparity of blacks and whites in jails, that's got to stop, because I got statistics right here which will prove me right. In New York City alone, okay, blacks are 23%. They make up 75% of the population. 75% of all shootings, 70% of all robberies, and 60% of all violent crimes. All right, the whites only 3%. Now that is why there were more blacks in jail than there are whites. But that's okay. And now let me just finish here, and then go. All right. So we look at that statistic. All right. They turn it around. You know, the racial demagogues out there turn it around that the blacks are being picked on.
Guys, how are you still on national TV and just said that black people are prone to criminality? I want to be able to respond to that, okay?
Well, they are.
But you think black people are prone to criminality?
The statistics here show.
You don't mean to say that. I'm going to give you a chance to correct me. You don't mean that black people are prone to criminality.
What does this say?
I don't know what that says, but I know.
The chief can back me up because he's coming out.
He's not going to stay on national TV and say black people are prone to criminality.
I am telling you, 75% of shootings are blacks.
I'm hoping you just don't know.
75% of shootings. What you're doing is you're interpreting something else I'm saying. Your narrative. That's what you do.
I'm just trying to talk.
Mark, hold on one second.
I think you just don't know prone.
Points I'd like to make. First of all, I'm not going to say it's prone to blacks, prone to crime, because I don't believe it, and it's not true. That's the first.
It's not true. It's racist.
The second thing, I have a slight difference.
It is not racist.
To say that black people are prone to criminality.
That's not what I said.
No, that is what you said. Are you saying? Mark Lamont Hill asked him, "Are you saying black people are prone to criminality?" And he said, "Yes, of course." Okay, I mean, go rewind. Get
picked on.
Guys, how are you still on national TV and just said that black people are prone to criminality? I want to be able to respond to that, okay?
Well, they are.
But you think black people are prone to criminality?
The statistics here show.
You don't mean to say that. I'm going to give you a chance to correct me. You don't mean that black people are prone to criminality.
What does this say?
Exact wording, right? It's on tape. We just showed it to you. All right. So, all right. Now, he threw out a series of stats there. By the way, Harry Hook's a former NYPD detective. God help us all that these are the cops that are overlooking all of us. Well, black people are arrested more. Okay. Well, now I had a former Baltimore cop on the Young Turks, Michael A. Wood Jr., who explained, yeah, part of the reason for that is we only go and arrest people in black neighborhoods because we're afraid that if we arrest people in the rich white neighborhoods, we're going to get in trouble. And we don't want to hit a judge's son. We don't want to hit someone powerful. So you go pick on the powerless. Okay, they don't give you that context, but I'm going to give you all of the context because I'm going to give you the numbers. So it's from the Washington Post. Black Americans are 2.5 times as likely as white Americans to be shot and killed by police officers. Okay? So that's a fact. Unarmed black Americans were 5 times as likely as unarmed white Americans to be shot and killed by a police officer. So now they're both unarmed. In that, for that study, they're looking at just people who were shot by cops who were unarmed. Black people were 5 times as likely to be shot even though they were unarmed. Okay, so now they'll say, oh, yeah, blacks are prone to criminality, that's why we had to shoot them. But in that case, they were unarmed. There was no criminality. And I've got more context on that issue as well. Of all the unarmed people shot and killed by police in 2015, 40% of them were black men, even though black men make up just 6% of the nation's population. Okay, according to, now, they always talk about black on black crime. Let's talk about that. According to FBI numbers from 2014, about 90% of black homicide victims were killed by other black people. The white-on-white murder rate that same year, homicides in which a white person was killed by another white person, was 82% of all murders of white people. Yet you almost never hear of white-on-white crime, and you certainly don't hear right-wingers on cable news talking about, hey man, we got to fix white culture. White people are constantly killing other white people. What is wrong with them? Where are their fathers? You don't hear that often. Okay, a report released last week by the Center of Policing Equity, which reviewed arrest and use of force of data from 12 police departments, concluded that black residents were more often targeted for use of police force than white residents, even when adjusting for whether the person was a violent criminal. So they adjust to see, wait, look, this guy's saying blacks are violent criminals. Well, they already adjusted for that. And it turns out, even in cases where whites and blacks are equivalently criminal or violent, or equivalently non-criminal and non-violent, guess who gets attacked more? Black people do. So this is based on the data from 12 police departments. So it's not our opinion. These are facts from police departments. Okay. In a report covering 2015 data, this is a whole other group. These are all separate groups, all investigating it, all coming out with these answers. Campaign Zero compared violent crime rates of 50 major cities to the rate at which police officers kill people, concluding that there was no correlation. Now think about that for a second. Every once in a while they'll say, oh, look at Chicago. It's a black on black crime. And the cops, they got to protect themselves. And this guy's talking about, hey, New York, so there's so many black criminals in New York, and that's why the cops are in danger and they got to protect themselves. But it turns out that the police officers killing people is not correlated to how violent that city is and how much violent crime there is. I know that seems counterintuitive. I get it. Like, you think, well, it's a violent city, and hence the cops shoot more people. But it turns out when you look at the data, that's not true. It is not correlated to that. So some cities train a certain way and others train in another way. And it turns out if you do the wrong kind of training that is overly aggressive, you will get more people being shot, both white and black, but blacks disproportionately, not based on whether those cities have a lot of violent crime or not, but based on the police training. See, if you look into the data, you actually find out the truth. All right. Another independent analysis from the Post data, conducted by a team of criminal justice researchers, concluded that when factoring in threat level, black Americans who are fatally shot by police are, in fact, less likely to be posing an imminent, lethal threat to the officers at the moment that they are killed than white Americans fatally shot by the police. So I'm going to break that down for you. So they had a number of factors that showed whether the cop was in imminent danger. So, and they analyzed that. They don't look at their race yet. They just analyze the data, how much was the cop in danger. Then they look at the race and say, okay, well, if it's logical and it has nothing to do with race, you should see that the blacks that they shot disproportionate were actually more of a threat to the cops. That's why they got shot. Oh, you see, they had it coming. But when they looked at the data and they lined it up, it turns out, no, that wasn't the case. In fact, it was the opposite. The whites that the police were having encounters with had actually put them in greater imminent danger, but blacks were killed at a disproportionate rate anyway. When they removed all the factors, is it a violent city? Is there more crime in that city? Or was the cop in imminent danger? You know what the one factor that led most conclusively to whether somebody was going to get shot by a police officer? That factor was whether they were black or not. So now that's not to say that all the cops are racist. It's to say we have an unconscious bias in this society. Yes, some are explicitly racist. Yes, some are implicitly racist. But most of them don't even know that they have it in the back of their heads. And sometimes it's done by black cops and Latino cops and Asian cops. We have the unconscious bias, and it is proven over and over again. And no, it is not just because, the blacks are prone to criminality. No, you're targeting blacks more. And it's proven out by the data. But you don't want to see the data. You don't want to see the truth because that's inconvenient for you. Instead, you go on national TV and imply they're more violent. You know how blacks are. That's why they had it coming. That's why the cops keep shooting at them. But when you realize that is not remotely the case,